I'm Laura Ingraham. This is the Ingraham Angle from Washington tonight. Thank you for joining us. All right, right off the bat, we got old McBiden saw a farm. That's the focus of tonight's angle. All right, put your mind at rest, people. Stop worrying about soaring food and energy costs because today Joe Biden's on the case. He visited a farm. It was part listening tour.
Every day that gets pushed back
the other crops.
Yes, and we usually run out of growing season.
Yeah.
You know, so we can't control that. They can typically produce about 60% as a double crop. But yeah, there's still always risk involved that I'm bearing by myself. A couple things that I wanted to be able to talk about here. What we had just walked through back there.
Yep.
Yep. Part meaningless small talk.
This one working? There you go. Please sit down. One of the things I want to put to rest, everybody looks at me and says, have you ever been on a farm? And I remind them that what nobody knows. I come from the state of Delaware, single largest industry in Delaware and the Delmarva of Delaware, Maryland, Virginia Peninsula, that peninsula that goes down, is agriculture.
Thank you, Rand McNally. And more talk of spending money that we don't have.
Early this year, the U.S. Department of Agriculture announced it would invest $250 million to boost fertilizer production. Literally on the plane out here on Air Force One, I turned to Tom and I said, Tom, double that. Make it $500 million. It's so desperately needed.
Oh, why stop there? Well, what's desperately needed, though, is a president who doesn't offer fake empathy when what we need are real solutions. But fake empathy is all he can offer, and it's exactly what we got when he went on to Chicago.
I come from a family, and I mean this sincerely like most of you, where the price of gasoline went up significantly, the price of food went up. That's what we talked about at the dinner table and the kitchen table. I couldn't afford daycare. I couldn't afford child care. Not a joke. I was making $42,000 a year, which was a lot of money as a U.S. Senator. I couldn't afford it. Thank God I got a big family. My dad would say family's the beginning, middle, and the end.
Then Biden tried to make you feel better about the disastrous state of our economy and our lower standard of living by comparing life at the height of the pandemic to the days of Biden infrastructure bucks.
We gave them a whole lot of money. We added back 460,000 jobs. Critical state and local workers, educators, firefighters, police officers. Remember those long lines you'd see on a television? People lining up in all kinds of vehicles just to get a box of food. How quickly we forget. And what did the MAGA crowd want to do? Forget it. Forget it. People would have to wait in line an hour, hour and a half to get a box of food in their trunk. It's just unbelievable.
Do his speechwriters not see the irony here? A few hours earlier, he gave a speech about inflation and rising prices of food and gas, of course, more than 43% up now. Costs that are due to his policies. But perhaps the White House missed this headline about how inflation is so bad that some women say they're skipping meals now in order to meet their family's food budget. But none of what Biden is doing is going to make any difference. His move to release the 30 million barrels from our strategic petroleum reserve was worse than a flop. It's now compromising our national security by depleting our energy source that was being saved for emergencies. Meanwhile, if that's not enough, the White House is planning to further erode our economic position vis-a-vis China. The globalists inside the Biden administration are on the verge of convincing Scranton Joe to help the CCP by dropping Trump's tariffs. And apparently, for that great deal, America will get nothing. Now, remember, China is so sleazy, it's so dishonest, it hasn't even lived up to its Phase 1 agreement to buy $200 billion worth of agricultural products from us. It obviously knew that with Trump out, that's when they agreed to it, with Trump's out, they could welch on the bargain and there'd be no consequences under Biden. So how bad will this be? Well, already with Trump's tariffs in place, China is on pace to enjoy a trade surplus of over $400 billion with the U.S. this year alone. So the way things look, Biden is simply going to declare that that whole tariff thing was a mistake that just contributed to higher prices for all consumers. Somehow, though, Biden thinks that he can mollify Americans' concerns about China with vapid comments masquerading as tough talk.
And he said, he was talking about why America's a diminishing power. And I said, Mr. President, it's never been a good bet to bet against the American people. No one's ever won betting against the American people.
He was talking to President Xi there. But the truth is, America needs to begin the arduous process of decoupling from that murderous bunch that runs China. It's time we pull back our essential manufacturing, because the true cost of our dependence on this repressive regime is already being felt in baby formula shortages, drug shortages, and now shortages in IV contrast fluid in hospitals. Johns Hopkins has sent a letter to all of its staff that the cause of the shortage is the COVID pandemic. But of course, the real cause is the Shanghai lockdown. Turns out Shanghai is where much of the IV fluid is produced. This is terrifying. It has to change. We can't be held hostage by China or the one-worlders here in the U.S. who sold us out for so long. So today's trip to the farm was just another desperate act, an act that was poorly choreographed by the White House comms team. They really think this is all just a messaging problem, don't they? That Americans are stupid. So stupid as to believe that any of Biden's gestures will fundamentally alter the economic plight that they see before them. But the people of this great country, they're smarter than the elites think. And if they could right now, yeah, they'd send Biden and all of his enablers back to the farm and permanently out to pasture. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.